Thanks indeed, Padmaja. Yes, they're all on the edge of their seats, viewers. The Mahagathbandhan counting each voter quite literally as they went into the polling station and came out. Why? Because it's all coming down to the turnout. The Bharatiya Janata Party insiders are telling us, sitting on the edge of their seats, because they know that every percentage counts in this election, especially in the states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Why? Because it is in these states where the Bharatiya Janata Party has the most to lose against the Mahagathbandhan. Yes, viewers, Nalin Mehta will be joining us also in about 30 seconds. Nalin, come through, mic up. This is an important moment because we have been tabulating and doing the maths, and we have been trying to understand how it all will crystallize over the next 1 hour. Let's go out to the turnout figures. Let's pull out the turnout for the various constituencies, first in Uttar Pradesh, then we'll focus on Bihar. We also have our reporters with us who you will be able to see on the wall right next to me. This is the big plasma, this is the big grid. We'll be looking at the turnout figures now, one by one. Let's pull them out. Turnout is a factor, viewers. We may like it, we may choose to ignore it, we may choose to suggest that it is actually inconclusive, but it is actually a factor. Let's have a look at this. Here it is, viewers. Uttar Pradesh, as of now, over these 8 seats, 50.9%. The turnout is at 50.9%. Is it a shade more than it was across these 8 seats the last time? No. No is the resounding answer from Nalin Mehta. Welcome, Nalin. It isn't. What was the turnout rather across 8 seats?
This is very, very low compared to 2019, compared to 2014. Just to give you an illustration, Rahul.
Yes.
Saharanpur last time was 74%.
74%.
Kairana was 73%.
Okay.
Muzaffarnagar 69%. Bijnor 67%.
So here it is, Saharanpur. Look at Saharanpur, viewers. The Modi wave pushed up that number to 74.2%. Now it's at 60.3%. This is till 5 p.m. That's the number you need to keep focusing on. These might be updated by another half an hour possibly, but there'll be a trickle. The increase in turnout benefits the Bharatiya Janata Party. The graph tells you this very, very clearly. When the turnout languishes somewhere at the bottom, somewhere at the region which is in here, it tends to benefit the opposition parties. But when there is a bump, significant bump, it means that the committed voter is coming out, because the cadre has been able to mobilize. Now, there is no more powerful machine on the ground to mobilize voters than the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Absolutely, Rahul. And what ground report are telling us today is that a lot of the RSS voters didn't turn out to vote to the extent that was expected.
Right.
In the morning, in the first half, in many of these seats, we saw a lot of voting by Dalits, by Muslims, by Jats. Many of the groups that were voting for the opposition or for the Mahagathbandhan, and the whole idea was that in the post-lunch session of voting, will there be counter mobilization by the BJP's voters?
It hasn't
happened.
We
have not seen evidence of that.
Do you think this could change? Sanjeev Singh, do you think this could change?
I think it will change, but going by the comparison of 2014, in all likelihood, the number will remain much lower than what it was in 2014, and that, according to me, is not a good sign for the ruling party.
Not a good sign for the ruling party, which is, of course, in this particular case, the Bharatiya Janata Party here. But this is also an area where the Congress had posted a very, very strong candidate in Imran Masood, and it is possible. I'm not saying it has happened. It is possible that those votes might have been cut. Who knows? Which went to the Mahagathbandhan. We don't know. The Muslim vote could have splintered. Let's quickly move on. Yeah. Let's go on to Kairana. Kairana, very, very interesting, viewers. Very, very interesting. Because this seat, just don't go by the maths alone. Here again, look at this. There's a softness here. Almost 12% less turnout. Again, the figure is at 5 p.m. People know, once again, that you have surprises in store when the numbers are low. Now, this is in the same benchmark, really, as 2009 and in the middle of where it was in 2004, this figure
we are
of
looking
2019.
At a big swing factor here, Rahul, because when it was 73% in Kairana,
yes,
the victory margin for BJP's Hukum Singh at that time, the late Hukum Singh, was 21.2%. Now if your voting is going to be down by 13%, it might increase by 2-3% now.
Yes.
That's a huge jump, and the swing therefore will be the margin will be much lower.
Now
So
let's deep focus on Kerala. We did some very interesting maths.
Yeah.
Jay, our cephalogist, actually walked us through some of these numbers. We're going to pull out another graphic on Kerala. Now this is very interesting. For every Mahagathbandhan voter who didn't vote, viewers, if you look at the by-poll numbers, there were 2.5 voters of the BJP who sat at home. Yes, that is how we crunched this. Nizam bhai, do we have that figure as of now? Okay, it's going to take a little bit of time. We'll come back to that because that is very, very interesting. Okay, there it is. It's coming up. It's coming up. It's come up here. It's just going to come up. Let's put it out. This is very, very important, viewers. The maths adds up in the following way. In 2014, as I told you, 73.1% was the turnout. But look what happened. Look what happened just last year in 2018, where there was a by-election. Now, there was a by-election because Mr. Hukum Singh passed away and his daughter was fielded on this constituency. And the turnout was 57.9%, and you can see what really happened there. The BJP sank. The BJP sank, Nalin. That was what happened. And look who won. The Mahagathbandhan pulled this home. And why? Because for every Mahagathbandhan voter who didn't vote, there were 2.5 voters of the BJP who sat at home.
The
Very interesting.
thing about that election, Rahul, with Mriganka Singh was she lost despite winning 49% of the vote of the people who would come out.
There you go.
So even then she lost, which shows you that when you have a combined opposition behemoth against the party instead of a multi-cornered contest, even high vote shares can give you zilch.
Which also proves, viewers, that when the voting is depressed, when there are not enough voters out there, when they are not equaling the records that were set in 2014 when there was a Modi wave. Remember, the Modi wave changed a lot on the ground. You would agree, Sanjeev, you would agree. You've been covering this area. That was a wave election. So 8 out of 8 was very possible. And also there was no Mahagathbandhan.
Both things. In fact, this time there is no visible wave as such for the BJP, and also the fact that this time the voters knew exactly who they wanted to vote for, and we've seen that on the ground both the SP and BSP workers have come together to ensure that there is sort of seamless transition of votes. So far, from the information that we are getting, it appears that the Mahagathbandhan on these two seats seems to have the upper hand.
Upper hand. Let's go straight out. Let's go straight out to our correspondents who've been baking today all day in the sun, bringing you moment-to-moment updates. It's been an absolutely riveting contest. There has been a lot of action on the ground. Frayed tempers, individuals coming in and smashing EVMs, individuals coming in contesting the fact that the EVMs were throwing up conceived numbers that when you pressed one number or any number or any button on the EVM, it would vote for the BJP. All sorts of allegations have been made. Athar Khan joins us. Athar, this is quite significant. The turnouts are depressed. Does that mean that the BJP is in trouble? Does it mean that the Mahagathbandhan is on top? What does it suggest? You've already told us that there is no wave. You were one of the first journalists to have gone out there and recce'd and gone to a large number of these constituencies. You've written a piece on this, and it seems to be holding out that diagnosis that you made.
Well, on the ground, I would agree completely with Sanjeev as well as Nalin there. There is no one wave on the ground, and voter turnout is going to be very crucial. I'll just give you one small example today, Rahul. We spoke, of course, to people who clearly were voters of the BSP. They had made up their minds as well. They were obviously saying that there is a lot of goop to vote. They're not visible anywhere on the ground, but they've ensured that their people go to the polling booth and vote as well. Towards the second half of the day today, I was at the BJP war room inside in Bagpat, where the entire strategy of that particular seat was in fact being made. And at about 3 p.m., 3 to 3:30 p.m., there was some concern by the BJP cadres and workers working on Satyapal Singh's campaign that we need to get the vote out. We have not gotten the vote out enough. They wanted to somehow press forward the advantage, and frantic calls were made to senior Gujar leaders, to other leaders as well, and people associated with the Sangh as well, to get the vote out, because according to their own internal calculations, in Baghpat specifically, Rahul, they believed they did not have enough of the vote out. So there were frantic measures trying to get the vote out as well. So low voter turnout could go either way. But as Naren was suggesting right now, for every committed, let's say Sangh voter, for example, it does look like on the ground that the same force we saw in 2014 during the big Modi wave, that kind of vote has not gone out. But there have been large numbers of people from the minority community, from the traditional Mayawati vote, as well as the Gathbandhan now. Another phrase you'll hear in these villages that I've been traveling today, Rahul, was Behan ji ka Aadesh. So we can clearly see from there which way that vote is going. I also completely agree with Nalin there and Sanjeev. The fact that people had made up their minds a long time ago. There was no last minute changes, perhaps leaving Baghpat aside where some
we're
villages
just coming back to you,
inside
Athar.
Baghpat,
More
Rahul,
numbers coming in, more voter turnout figures being punched in as we speak, and they're not looking very good. In Muzaffarnagar, you see, as of now, Mr. Srivastava, 62.7, and look at what the number was back in 2014, 6% more. 6% more. And it goes,
there.
well, it might. Look, again, as I said, these numbers are till 5 p.m.
Yes.
There are always stragglers and, you know, voting is extended by about an hour. So we have to wait. But as of now, that's why it's edge of the seat stuff.
Yes. So if these numbers are holding,
Yeah.
give or take another 2-3% adding, then what was the constant refrain all through these past weeks? That it's not arithmetic, it's chemistry will work. Arithmetic is not the politics. The chemistry will work. And what we are seeing that the chemistry is not working. Because if the chemistry had worked, then the voter turnout would have been much higher. Then there would have been a wave. Now that if these numbers hold true, and still this analysis can go iffy, but apparently it looks that the chemistry is not working.
Okay.
There is no wave. And Modi could have
Let's go across.
Past arithmetic.
Mr. Achari will disagree with you vehemently. 1 second.
Yeah.
Mr. Achari, why?
No.
Why? What's the problem?
See, you take the case of Saharanpur, 74.24 in 2014, and it has come down to 60.3. It may go after 1 hour, you will get the real picture. It may go to 2 and 3%. Okay. See, morning is the crucial time when people come en masse, and especially the BJP voters, they go and vote in the morning, and they have voted because the morning when we saw the figure, it was around 11-12% within 1 hour. But slowly it went down, but immediately the second half.
Sorry, he says.
I have a
See,
point.
where the damage might have happened, it has got nullified, and that is why you are seeing the figure of 60.3. Otherwise, it would have come down to below 50% if we go according to your calculation.
Okay.
No, my calculation may be completely wrong. That's fine. My only issue is all through these 30-35 years, I have heard one thing, especially from BJP people and people who think they understand elections very well, is that the morning hours are dominated by the minority community voters and the Dalit voters, and actually the traditional RSS cadre voter comes out all through the day and then a final push towards the afternoon and evening. Now you are saying something which will put that theory on its head.
Mr. Rajagopalan, you're looking a bit glum. You're looking a bit glum. Why are you glum? Why are you glum? You're silent, unusually quiet and glum.
The transfer of votes among the Mahagathbandhan constituents may also be low. You have to take that also into consideration. Don't be blaming only on that, ruling party side, because there are reports which we got, you and me also know about it.
Well,
the things are not good for Mahagathbandhan.
True.
But it may click different way. My understanding is before 8 o'clock, we will get the final voting figure.
Well, viewers, you're going to be seeing some numbers coming up here. On this table, you're going to be some numbers. But look,
it is the arithmetic which is prevailing over the chemistry.
Yes, 1 second, one at a time.
So Congress, what is the role played by Congress? Whose vote is damaging?
Now you have to depend on Congress. Now you are depending on Congress.
That is bulk of the votes getting transferred.
Sir, please, allow me,
my
sir.
understanding, Muslim did not vote for Congress just now.
Yes.
That is what I got.
Then Gathbandhan
That's what I'm saying. That is the reason why RSS may have also gone in the
सर
morning.
ये तो फिर हमारे हिंदी में कहते हैं खेल हो जाएगा बीजेपी का खेल हो जाएगा सॉरी टू से but 1 minute let's go across let's bring in Sanjeev, let's bring in Vivek. Look, and Sanjeev, now you guys have traveled all through, you've been down in the south. This is a test also for some of the other Gathbandhans, so to speak, down there, but this Gathbandhan, it's its first test. And tell me, Sanjeev, how important is first phase? If they manage to make a dent, what is the domino?
See, this is exactly how it played out in the 2017 UP election as well.
Okay.
Once the reports came that BJP is doing very well after the first phase, that had a cascading effect, and we saw BJP sweep over 300 seats in the UP election. The worry here is that the way the numbers are coming out, polling numbers are coming out, it may also have the same sort of cascading effect in favor of the Mahagathbandhan if we go by the current numbers.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make that point about Muzaffarnagar.
Yes.
Even though the polling percentage remains the same, you will see a major difference in the mindset of the voters this time.
Okay.
Because remember that the candidate this time of the Mahagathbandhan is Chaudhry Ajit Singh. So people have already made up their mind and they've voted in a particular manner. The result will be very clear for
Well,
everyone
in
to see.
Western UP, two things have to be looked at very closely. Where did the Muslim vote go? And did the Jats also unitedly vote for the Mahagathbandhan? If there's a split there, there could be an extra dimension that might have gone unnoticed. One second, I want to bring in Shazia Ilmi of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Shazia Ilmi, this will be a number that you will be very closely focusing on. Anyhow, I'm just being told by our director Nizam Bhai that there are more numbers coming up on our screens. Let's look at Bijnor, Meerut, Baghpat, Ghaziabad, Gautam Budh Nagar. Let's get up there once again, Nalin. This is very, very important. Let's have a look. Let's pull out those as our reporters are waiting there, and we're going to get a sense on the ground. Here it is. This is very interesting, viewers. This is Bijnor in Uttar Pradesh. Once again, you have a look here. The wave pushed this number up to 67.9% in 2014. We're nearabouts there. In 2019, this 5 p.m., let's assume that it goes up by a couple of more percents. It will be definitely higher. It will be definitely higher than it was in the past. So you will be somewhere close to the 2014. What does this explain?
Rahul,
Is this a seat that is going to the BJP?
In constituencies where the voter turnout gets to around about the 70% mark, it's a very close fight. In constituencies where it's around 60 to 64-5%, in those constituencies, I think BJP is going to be in trouble.
It's nail biting. It's nail biting. Would you agree? Let me go across to Aditya Anantnarayan. Aditya Anantnarayan, you've been very steadfastly reporting from out here in Gautam Budh Nagar. We'll bring up those numbers in just a few moments. But is the BJP focusing on these turnout numbers in the manner that we are? Simply put, is there anxiety? What are you hearing?
Well, Rahul, the anxiety within the BJP, especially in the state of Uttar Pradesh, began right from the time when SP and BSP announced its alliance. It also came as a stark reminder of what happened during the by-polls, where even a seat that from where the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, belonged to, even that the BJP could not retain. Why? Because of the combine. At that point in time, it was merely a combine between the SP and the BSP. And also remember, Rahul, that we had done a story a couple of weeks ago where we reported how the Prime Minister's maximum number of rallies and public programs were concentrated in and around the state of Uttar Pradesh, in the lengths and breadths of Uttar Pradesh. That in itself is an example how worried or how important the elections are in the state of Uttar Pradesh and how important the numbers in the state of Uttar Pradesh will be. Now, every constituency has a different story to tell, but when it comes to the constituencies of Ghaziabad or Noida for that matter, or Gautam Budh Nagar as we call it, the BJP is a little comfortable here. The developmental agenda clearly has worked for the BJP. We have been talking to a lot of people. The metro line, the eastern peripheral, the work that has been done on NH24. These are some of the ground issues that people have seen happening in front of them. They are using that. So that is something that probably is working in favor of the BJP.
Well, let me tell you, Aditi, many people are saying that this is a story of two Indias. And I can tell you one thing, that today Sonia Gandhi made a reference to that. She says, while urban India perhaps is being very impressed by some of the schemes that have been implemented, their delivery in areas where some amount of empowerment was required, some amount of delivery was required, it hasn't happened, and that is the rural India. And some of these seats lie very firmly in rural India. And let me tell you, there was huge distress amongst farmers there, especially cane farmers, who have said they haven't been paid by sugar mills. And there was an effort to try and get the sugar mills to cough up the money. There was also an announcement that these farmers would be compensated. The money hasn't reached them. The pressure has been put on sugar mills. Some of them have paid up, some of them haven't. So there is distress. And I want to bring in Shazia Ilmi. Shazia Ilmi, these numbers are very flat right now. Apart from a couple of constituencies, and we'll take you over some of them, they're not matching up to where we saw the 2014 turnout, which is indicative of one thing, that there is no real
Rahul,
wave. There is no real wave for Mr. Modi. That wave is over. You're facing anti-incumbency pressure now. Will you still cock a snook at that analysis?
So, first of all, Rahul,
Yeah.
no, nobody should cock a snook at anything at all, and I don't think we should be dismissive at all at this point of time. If at all, we should watch this very carefully. But I want to just say one thing, from whatever little work I have done, even as a journalist, I have known the BJP cadres and the BSP cadres to be the most committed, the most punctual to be there. And a few examples that were given of like by elections in Kairana as well as Phulpur. So a single swallow does not make a summer. I can tell you this much, that where the cadres are concerned, there is complete discipline and commitment and absolute punctuality with which they approach the election. So where BJP is concerned, at least the committed voters would have come out in the morning. And I think we're jumping the gun too much, and we're making too many presumptions here. And another presumption that we're making is the power of Modi's schemes did not work in rural India. Our rural India did not react or is not responding to. But I don't think it's true, because whether it's Ayushman or Ujjwala Yojana particularly, or even Jan Dhan Yojana, they have felt it. And or even the Awas Yojana. Some of these things that I have also looked at personally, and in some states obviously more than others, because it is after all a state and centre exercise. But I don't think the rural Indias are at all apathetic to the work done or antiseptic in any way.
Nalin is not convinced. You're not looking convinced
by
to
the
me.
central government.
Shazia, you make a good point. I just want to respond by saying that I don't think we are making presumptions. We are simply discussing, because after every phase, now this is not scientific because we don't know exactly how people have voted, but you will agree that all political parties get anecdotal evidence from the ground. They hear feedback from their cadres, and they get a sense ki hawa kis taraf ja rahi hai, and that affects how they approach the next phases. It's happened in previous phases as well. Now these seats in Western UP were all seats which are like a weather vane, and the hawa that we are hearing from the ground right now is, or this may well be wrong in the end, there is no evidence of exultation from the BJP side so
well,
far.
Everyone is sitting there looking at these numbers very, very closely. I'm sure the BJP will come out by the evening with their own assessment. Let's look at some other numbers here. They're coming up. Let's look at the back here. More of these numbers being keyed in. Nalin, mind that, because you might just end up tripping over that, like perhaps some of the voters have, tripping over themselves, not being able to come out. But here, this is a very interesting place. This is very, very interesting. This is Meerut. Meerut is regarded as a seat where the BJP has traditionally done well, at least for 3 elections. And there you can see 62.72. So matching the Modi wave. So this is very interesting. And as we know, a bumped up turnout tends to benefit those political outfits that have a very well-oiled machine on the ground. Vivek, you'd agree with me on that point.
If you look at the 4-5 seats we've till now discussed, whether it be Kairana, Meerut, Ghaziabad or Gautam Budh Nagar, one thing is clear. If you look at previous election 2009, 2014, it was always been in 52, 53 to 60 range. It is only in 2014, because of that overwhelming Modi wave, that you saw a huge bump. You do not expect that to come in again, and the BJP leadership, the people who have been planning this election for the Bharatiya Janata Party, know it quite well that they won't reach that peak. Irrespective of the fact that they won't reach that peak, this is a very healthy number to reach, 62.72 till 5 p.m. And don't be surprised if it reach closer. They'll be quite satisfied, if you ask me, if they reach quite closer to 64 or even 63.
Across to Prashant and Mohit.
Just one point, Rahul, because this 63% last time, BJP won this seat with a 20% margin.
20% margin. So this might be going to the bar. We don't want to make any predictions, because gosh, the ECI that actually cannot act against many others, might just act against us. So I'm not, I'm sorry,
absolutely.
I'm not going to make any predictions here. All I'm going to go across and ask Prashant, who is very busy on that phone, getting updates from the state EC. I just want to ask you, Prashant, this is a mixed record as far as turnout is concerned for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Look, these numbers can go up because I'm sure this has been counted till 5, and I'm sure in some locations counting might have been extended till up to about 5:30 for the stragglers to complete. So that could see an increase, but as of now it's not looking, it's not, well, it could be, yes, we don't know. So let me just very quickly go back to Prashant. Prashant, the numbers coming in from Saharanpur, Kairana, Muzaffarnagar, not very buoyant. Let me just put it like that. What is your reading of this?
Well, you see, Rahul, as many of our panelists have been saying, it was a massive jump in 2014 that we saw in the Western UP, in which the voters came out in large number, riding on that solid Modi wave that was there. But it has been a tradition. Now, as we are inching closer to the closing of the counting, you will certainly see a jump in that certain percent, because it's towards the evening that many voters have come out. It was hot and humid day throughout in the Western UP, and it was towards the evening that the voters have come out, and you will certainly see a jump in that. But having said that, all the parties were expecting this. Now, a lower turnout, of course, is a big headache for the BJP, because when the higher turnout was there in 2014, we all know what the results were. So clearly, the BJP will certainly look into it, but the only thing that everything will come down to is the votes of the M plus Y, the Muslim plus Yadavs. Have they voted en masse for the Mahagathbandhan? The Mahagathbandhan is true. If the votes are split, it's advantage BJP on every single seat that has been going to polls today. And if you talk about Western UP, the Mahagathbandhan certainly today is looking stronger than the BJP, given the kind of numbers that we have as of now.
Okay, very interesting. The Jat vote, the Muslim vote, very, very important. Has it been, yes, and the Jatav vote and the non-Jatavs, which way they have gone? Viewers, just a second. I just want to go straight back to Amir. Amir, I want to ask you this. We know that the last election had taken place under the shadow of riots. We know that the Jats were not seeing eye to eye with the Muslims, and the Jatavs were on their own trip. This time the Mahagathbandhan wants to change that. They have been very non-responsive to provocations and attempts to polarize. What are you hearing? Did the Mahagathbandhan succeed in uniting and transferring, or has that been a failing?
Well, you see, Rahul, these elections in 2019 will be quite different from what happened in 2017 assembly elections or the last concluded Lok Sabha elections in 2014. Most of the parties have come a long way from then on till now, and especially after the kind of alliance that has been forged between Samajwadi Party, the BSP and the RLD, these combinations must definitely be there in their mind. And a lot of, in fact, churning has taken place over the last several years about these leaders trying to consolidate the Muslim vote on one side, the Dalit vote, especially the Jatav community from within the Dalit community, and also the Jats on the other side. And remember, since RLD is on board with the alliance, the Jat votes this time around, alliance believes, will come to their kitty. So that will make a lot of difference. At least that's what the political pundits out here in Lucknow say.
Let me very quickly go back to the numbers board. More turnout figures being keyed in by our producers there. Let's have a quick look. This is Bagpat. This is where Ajit Singh, the strongman, is contesting from. That seat slipped out of his hands in 2014. Virtually everything in Uttar Pradesh slipped out of the opposition's hand. Tushar is there, of course, at hand, but once again, 60.13 till 5 p.m. We don't quite know what the cutoff is. These are figures that were announced at 5 p.m. I know that the Election Commission is going to be holding a press conference, Nalin, at around 7. Yeah. So 7 p.m. That's right. So we might actually have fresh numbers coming in, and all of this could change. And I can tell you, viewers, and you can see that the history speaks for itself. Whenever there's a bump, there's a consolidation towards the Bharatiya Janata Party. Will all these numbers change? Will these graphs suddenly begin to tower over what happened in 2014? If they do, then the BJP might think that they have been able to retain the support they built for themselves over the last 5 years. Nalin, that's not an unusual claim to make here, is it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think a lot will depend on the voter turnout. For a higher voter turnout is good for the BJP.
Is good for the BJP.
That's what we think.
That's
based on the
conventional
data.
wisdom.
That's the conventional wisdom.
Conventional wisdom. Okay.
And it will also tell us, we know that certain caste groups which are associated with various parties have voted en masse.
Okay.
Now the question is, which side the swing voters are going?
Right. Which side are the swing voters going? And many people are saying, especially Jay Mrug, our psephologist, who came out and predicted very recently that the BJP might actually get 50 plus seats. As you know, in our opinion survey in Uttar Pradesh, Tushar, I want to bring you in on this. He said that non-Jatavs and non-Yadav OBCs are definitely moving en masse towards the Bharatiya Janata Party. Are you seeing signs of that on the ground, Tushar?
Well, ever since morning, we've gone live. I've been saying that it is a very tough battle in Muzaffarnagar against the two very big leaders, Ajit Singh of the RLD and Sanjeev Balyan of the BJP. Ajit Singh, he is a member of the Mahagathbandhan, but more importantly, it is a fight for his political survival, for the political survival of his party, the RLD, because last time also he lost from Baghpat. This time he has chosen the seat of Muzaffarnagar, giving a tough fight to Sanjeev Balyan. We have gone to different polling booths. No doubt about it that the Muslim votes are certainly going towards the Mahagathbandhan. But as far as we have surveyed around other polling booths, it is clear that there was a decisive factor, that the Jat votes would be a decisive factor in this particular constituency. But many of them have been riding on the popularity of Dr. Sanjeev Balyan. This is one thing, very key thing that we have noticed, that nobody mentioned the name of the BJP or Narendra Modi. They in fact mentioned Dr. Sanjeev Balyan and about the developmental work that he has done. So Sanjeev Balyan still is quite popular. However, as we are seeing, the voting percentage is not to the level that it was last time. So it could be very well be a deciding factor.
Deciding factor. Well, Baghpat is one of those seats where Ajit Singh had felt the first taste really of the Modi wave. Now I want to introduce to our viewers there, Vivek Sailas, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Mr. Sailas, are you confident that the Congress has not dented your prospects? Because Mayawati is mighty upset with Rahul Gandhi. I'm sure you are equally upset with him for playing what many believe is on the front foot. Okay, I think we've lost Mr. Sailas there. I wish I had been told earlier, then we wouldn't have wasted such a lot of time. Do you believe, Sanjeev, that is a possibility? Rahul Gandhi's Congress, as he says, playing on the front foot in Uttar Pradesh?
Well, obviously, this is something that the Mahagathbandhan knew was going to happen, and they had to deal with this simply because we've heard, both Rahul and Priyanka say that even if they don't do well in this election, they hope to do well in the 2022 assembly election. So for them, this is basically the spade work being done for the big election in 2022.
Okay, spade work being done.
Also, they just can't vacate that space.
They can't vacate the space.
And just a couple of very quick points. You know what Shazia was saying, nobody can write off Mr. Modi. He remains a very relevant factor. The thing is, in 2014, he could carry the party and all the arithmetical issues, and also the opposition was divided, so he could carry them to the sweep. Now these voter turnout indicates that is not happening. He still may be a most relevant person in the fray and the most important factor, but that factor is not able to cross the hump of arithmetic. And mind you, one more thing, Rahul.
Yeah.
While you keep saying that the non-Jatav OBC and the non-Jatav Dalit and the non-Yadav OBC, but the fact is that in Western UP and many other parts, the Jatavs, Jats, the Muslims actually constitute more than 50%.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter where the non-Dalit Jatav is going.
I mean, look,
in many constituencies.
There are many formulations.
That's the thing.
I want to add two small points.
First
is that in 2014, even in 2014, SP, BSP had the core vote intact.
Okay.
It was Narendra Modi who carried them over the BJP over the hump. Today, speaking to a number of people on the ground, and also what our reporters are telling us from talking to voters, even those who are voting for BJP, many of them are saying they are voting for Narendra Modi, much more for Modi than for the BJP.
Well,
so the question is, that while Modi brings a huge increment to the party now, is that enough anymore?
Is that enough? Is the dividend enough? That's the question. Obviously,
without Modi.
the BJP spokesperson Shazia Ilmi will say yes, it is more than enough. But I am very interested to hear Vivek Sailas of the Samajwadi Party. Vivek Sailas, Rahul Gandhi factor is also looming in the shadows. The Modi factor is played out. We know what that's about and what damage that can do. But it's the Rahul Gandhi factor. Would you say today that you're paying for the fact that the opposition is divided, sir? That the opposition is divided, it's not united by ideology, it is only united by self-interest. Okay, we keep losing him. I think he's in a zero call zone. Jay, would you admit that? Would you agree to that? Jay, what do you think? Is the opposition being held back by self-interest today?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Now, the factor is that, see, there were two things that should have been counted. One is the messaging of the opposition that, there is, what Jayaprakash Narayan did in his earlier days is that there has to be a one versus one candidate. I think that messaging was important for the voters, which the opposition missed. The second thing is, I believe there were very, myopic metrics by which some opposition leaders were judging the Congress. For example, Mayawati stuck to her old stand that the Congress does not have transferable votes. Now, the potential of the Congress to damage the Mahagathbandhan and its utility was demonstrated well in Bihar, how they carefully crafted the Congress into the alliance even in the 2015 assembly elections. So that was a lesson they did not draw upon. So the messaging as well as looking beyond the immediate or myopic goals, I think those two things would have served the opposition well.
Okay, let's go straight across to Padmaja. Padmaja, let's look at these numbers. Some seats still to be called. Ghaziabad, Gautam Budh Nagar. Take us over some of those as well as the numbers that are coming in now. You've been updating them. Turnout figures from Uttar Pradesh.
Absolutely. Let me quickly take our viewers, Rahul, through some of the constituencies across Uttar Pradesh. In Western UP, 8 constituencies went to polls today in the first phase. Now, we examined these 8 seats, Rahul, over the last 4 elections, and let's see what we found out. We saw first in Gautam Budh Nagar that when the turnout was the lowest, 48.5%, it was the BSP that had won in 2009. Then 5 years later, it climbed up 60.6% and the BJP won that seat. Mahesh Sharma is the sitting MP from there, and what's interesting is that this time around, 62.03, that's the total percentage that we know so far. Now let's take a look at the next seat that has polled today, which is Ghaziabad. Who's the sitting MP? General VK Singh. Let me tell you that in 2014, General VK Singh, it was his first election, yet he was the person who got the second highest margin of win. After the Prime Minister in Varanasi, his was the second highest margin. And look at that. Earlier, it was 2009, also with the BJP. General VK Singh won with a higher margin, 56.9%. That was the polling percentage in 2014. Moving on to Bagpat, where also the sitting MP is that of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Satyapal Singh. Now, RLD had that seat in 2004. It also had the seat in 2009. And then you see when the polling percentage climbed up to 66.7% in 2014, that seat went over to the BJP. What we also must bear in mind is that in 2014, there was this massive Modi wave. In Western Uttar Pradesh, the BJP just swept across all of it. The 8 seats that are polling today, all of them currently are with the BJP. What is the polling percentage today? Actually slightly lower. It's 60.13%. Now let's move on to the next seat. After Bagpat, we're going to talk about Meerut. In 2004, the BSP held it with 52.4% turnout. BJP got it. There's a slight deviation here from that pattern we've generally seen. 48.2% in 2009, the BJP got it. BJP held it in 2014, 63.1%. And today, the polling percentage is almost the same. I'm guessing the final figures will come around that same area. It's in the region of 62, 64. All right, now let's move on to the next seat. In Bijnor, we had in 2004 the RLD. This, remember, Western Uttar Pradesh used to be a big vote bank. The Jat vote bank was of Chaudhry Ajit Singh. Last election, they were just swept away by the BJP wave. But in 2004, RLD held it, 52.1%. They continued with it in 2009. The BJP, like I mentioned earlier, swept them away with 67.9% polling percentage. The BJP got it. Today, the polling percentage is about 61.19%, thereabouts in that region. In Saharanpur, again, that same pattern is repeating itself. The seat went from the SP to the BSP, then to the BJP. Huge turnout happened, 74.2%, and the BJP got this seat in Muzaffarnagar. Now, this is a very important seat. 2014 elections happened in the aftermath of the Muzaffarnagar riots. The polarization was massive, and the BJP won this seat despite all the cases that had been slapped on their leaders. Some of them even went to jail.
Padmaja,
in Kerala,
you know, all of this,
RLD, 2009 BSP, 2014 BJP.
Well, Padmaja, the problem with analysis, especially that is very quick off the bat, is that it can all end up being totally controverted in 20 minutes. Why? Because these tidbits that you're hearing from all of us and our panelists are based on turnout as of now, as of 5 p.m. Now, this will be revised upwards, most definitely, viewers. So we will have to see.
You have an ace up your sleeve if you can pull it out.
What is that ace?
Jay must be conducting exit polls.
Oh no, we can't go anywhere near that. Jay, I know is on his laptop right now getting the data, but I am not going to even ask him.
I know.
Well, someone might run away with him and the computer, and they might have the answer, but it certainly is not going to be me.
He's a cat with 9 lives, but even he's not going to risk the election.
He is not going to risk it because the EC is unfortunately going to come down hard on anyone that actually takes a stab at giving out the verdict, and of course it would be so very unfair, would it not, viewers? I just want to very quickly bring in Mr. Silas. Mr. Silas, I don't know where you're sitting. I think it's in our studio, and I'm really sorry that the audio is so poor. It's almost like you're in a bunker.
I'm in Lucknow,
Every time I come across to you, your line drops. I don't know if that's because of connectivity or that is because of call drops. But I want to ask you, sir, has Rahul Gandhi let you down? It's so down to the wire. A couple of percentage here or there could make the difference. Has Rahul Gandhi let you down? Come on, sir, today be bold. Today be bold. Tell me what is in your heart. You know he's let you down.
Not at all.
No. Okay, he hasn't let you down.
Yeah. Today is the day to rejoice for us.
Okay,
actually, Rahul.
On what basis are you rejoicing, sir? Tell us.
Congress is fighting nowhere, Rahul.
Based on your analysis so far.
I am rejoicing because people are voting for a definite change. That is for sure.
How do you know?
People are voting for a definite change. Definite change, and it's the time.
How do you know? What's making you so confident?
We have our own things. We are very, very confident. It's the time for the masses of the country to express their anger against the Bharatiya Janata Party. What happened in 2014? The Bharatiya Janata Party made all false promises to the people of the country, and they are still doing so.
Okay, look, I don't.
If you look at this belt is particularly about the farming. This belt.
Okay, so if the BJP doesn't do well in this belt, it is symptomatic of what many people today claim is the deprivation in Bharat, and that is something, Mr. Rajagopalan, that you cannot discount. You look at the indexes, they'll tell you.
Then we have to wait and watch. As you said, this time the increase in the decrease in the voting percentage is little concern.
So you have conceded that point.
Definitely, it's a concern.
It's a concern. Why? Is it because people are not enthusiastic enough to come out from within the cadre?
Whether it is because of any reasons, political infights within the party, or these things they will decide. But on the contrary, I say, Mahagathbandhan is also not transferring its own votes to other political parties.
That's a possibility.
That is also one point. And we cannot be stuck only on 8 seats. There are 72 other seats in UP.
Has the SP and the BSP worker...
No, BSP
No, let me. What he's trying to say is that within the Mahagathbandhan there needs to be a vote transfer. Look, let me just bring in. One second. Let me just bring in Mr. Achai. Mr. Achai, the problem here is, and Vivek, I want to bring you in on this too. Vivek, let me begin with you first. Isn't it essential that while the leaders at the top have flashed the victory sign, buried the hatchet, the workers also can bring themselves to do that? The SP and the BSP workers.
It is very, very difficult. Mind you, I have seen
That was not
cadres.
happening.
It was.
Sanjeev ji, the cadres across country of any political party find it very difficult to go ahead and campaign for a different symbol that is not theirs. Hathi wala will find it difficult to go for the cycle. Vice versa for RLD also. It is true.
Vivek
Across
ji,
the board, whether it
you
is
have
south
spent
or
30 years.
north, it is
You have
very
spent
difficult
30 years
to convert.
abusing each other. 1 minute. Let me bring in Mr. Vivek Silas on this.
How you can ask both of them to come
Okay,
together
Achari Sahab,
and
1 second.
campaign?
How
And
does this
on
happen?
ground, we ourselves saw that was
How
not
did this happen?
Gelling was not happening.
Okay, 1 second. Vivek Silas.
It is a question of survival.
Okay,
Get
question
over
of
all this.
survival.
It's not- it's
Is
not
survival
only a
making you
survival
so
question.
desperate,
It's
your
not
cadres so
happening.
desperate that they're going to give up, Mr. Vivek Silas? Age-old animosity, come together and vote out the Bharatiya Janata
From the
Party.
period of guest house episode.
Okay, let him respond.
Rahul ji, let me speak, please.
Boliye sir.
I was very quiet and I was not intervening with anyone.
Boliye sir, boliye.
Rahul ji, if you remember what happened when there was no formal Gathbandhan or
Yes.
alliance
Yes.
in 2018.
Yes.
At that time also people raised question that how the vote will be transferred. But let me tell you, the workers of Bahujan Samaj Party and Samajwadi Party, RLD, are bound together right now.
Okay.
And what happened in the by-elections? The same questions were being asked again and again. Lot of theories were being given. This will not be transferred, that will not be transferred. And ultimately what happened? Even the chief minister seat was lost.
Well,
the deputy chief minister lost.
well,
Karana was lost. Noorpur was lost.
कहीं पर
What are you
अखिलेश जी
talking? The
हाथी
vote
पे
is
बैठे
being
हैं और
transferred
कहीं
and
मायावती
our
जी
voters
साइकिल
are
पे
intact.
बैठी हुई हैं. Let's
It's
hope
the end
let's
of
hope
the-
the
it's
Hathi
the
and the
end of
cycle
the
can
era
keep
of
pace
Narendra
with each
Modi.
other. Okay. Let's hope for your own good, sir. I want to
It's end
quickly
of
do
the
1 second.
era,
I want to
Rahul.
quickly change fronts. I want
It's
to go to
enough. It's the
Bihar.
end of the era of Narendra Modi.
Okay, sir. 1 second. I want to go to Bihar.
spent
Bihar
more
is very
time on
important.
only
It's a
on
test of
eight
another
seats,
Gathbandhan. The
not
Congress and the RJD. 1 minute. The Congress and the RJD also setting aside their differences over seats, coming together, announcing a Gathbandhan. It took a little bit of time. The BJP and the JDU doing a sudden flip over the last 2 years, joining back with the Bharatiya Janata Party. How is that turning out? What's the turnout in Bihar? Let's look. Look, we are focusing on these two heartland states for now because, viewers, this is where the BJP has the most to lose. If it needs to get back to the 272 number, it has to do as well, if not better, in this particular region, as well as in, of course, Bihar. It can't possibly do better in Uttar Pradesh because it got 8 out of 8, but in Bihar, it can still increase a few of its numbers. Just let's have a look. Aurangabad. Here is Aurangabad on your screens, viewers. This is what it looks like. Turnout till 5 p.m. Still a little under, but there's hardly anything in it. If the BJP can go back to how it turned out the vote back in 2014, I think they'll be very satisfied. Let's look at Gaya. Gaya also at this moment in time posting a number of about 48.66%. Remember, that number can go up. But it was at a high of 53, so there's nothing much in it, is there? There's nothing much in it, and this is expected. Many people had said JDU, BJP and the LJ, SP very, very strong on the ground. They got their game together, they got their act together much in advance.
Rahul, I think just looking at these numbers so far and bearing in mind what you said that we could all have egg on our faces because numbers are provisional. Looking at the numbers so far, there seems to be a difference between what's happening in Bihar and what's happening in UP. Within UP, net, the numbers, at least what we have right now, seem to be of a magnitudinal difference from 2014.
So what is causing it? So is there
yardstick.
greater enthusiasm in Bihar for the Bharatiya Janata Party and its cadres are more sort of mobilized and encouraged and they're coming out to vote in greater numbers? Is that the reason why? Would you agree?
Lower turnout last time, they can do the same again.
Okay, they could do it again. Nevada, let's have a quick look at Nevada. 52.8 in 2014 and 49% as of now in Nevada. So Bihar seems to be consistently in favor, it would appear, in turning out in large numbers, viewers. Is it because the cadres of the BJP have been able to turn out the vote? So, Mr. Rajagopalan, what do you think is the difference between Uttar Pradesh and Bihar?
The leadership.
The leadership. Okay.
Because Nitish Kumar and our BJP are gelling together.
Yes.
Despite their, again, Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav's absence.
Okay, Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav's absence. So this is a test for Tejaswi also and Rahul Gandhi. Sanjeev, really a test of Tejaswi's mettle in the absence of his father, who's whiling his time away in jail.
Is it with Sanjeev?
Sanjeev.
Yeah, of course, this is Tejaswi's big test, but you know, the point that we were trying to make about the numbers being different, the voting percentage being different in UP and Bihar. Remember that JDU alone had polled about 12% votes, so that you have to add to the BJP's kitty this time around.
Okay.
And that's why the numbers, you will see that there is a major difference in the sort of trend that you will see between Bihar and UP. We discussed that point earlier about whether, you know, in UP, SP, BSP workers will be able to put aside the differences. Remember, the first prototype actually happened in Bihar in 2015 after the 2014 election when Nitish and Lalu came together. So it seems that the Bihar model is working for the Mahagathbandhan in UP, but in Bihar as of now, just because of the arithmetic, the numbers seem to be so.
Okay, let me ask.
His last sentence is important.
Okay, let me ask.
The arithmetic is there in UP.
Yes.
The arithmetic does not add up to a majority in Bihar for the non-BJP parties.
Okay, very interesting. Jay, you want to come in? You raised your hand. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, see, I want to make a point. A little dispassionate point. And we've all got worked out with the turnout in West UP. See, even in the 2014 election, it was the West UP turnout which was exceptionally higher than the rest of the state.
Okay.
The rest of the state did not average to 67 or 68%. There was constituencies in the rest of the state with 52, 58, 56. West UP last time was held in the aftermath of a riot. In the shadows of just the aftermath of the riot. Right now, it's not in the aftermath of the riot. You can maybe another view to look at it is that West UP is now returning to the normal, which was the rest of the state turnout. You know, that's another way to look at it, rather than trying to read too much into it.
Well, there is always two sides to psephology. That's why they get away at the end of every election by saying, hey, we didn't read that particular input, but it could have been this. Well, yeah, absolutely. Look, I don't want to take anything away from Jay, but I think Jay has hit it on this. Well, Jay is looking purely from the point of historical data, and history does have a bearing, does it not?
No.
Or is he dipping into his exit poll?
Inform us on what previous patterns have been.
Yes.
And previous patterns have been that when there is higher voting in these areas, there is traditionally an issue which is binding and overriding older kinds of patterns.
Okay.
So that seems to have changed. This seems to be like a much more normal election.
Normal election. Is there a wave still? No one knows. We're going to take a short break. I've really run out of time. We come back. Viewers, stay tuned for the Election Commission. Election Commission press conference. The numbers will be out there. Pay attention to our broadcast and our analysis. Stay with us.